The sun was high in the sky on that Friday afternoon, casting bright beams through the enormous glass windows of the luxury car dealership. The showroom sparkled as if the cars themselves were glowing, polished to perfection. Each vehicle, from the sleek sedans to the powerful supercars, seemed ready to leap forward into a world of opulence. The air was filled with a soft, unobtrusive melody, creating an atmosphere of serene sophistication. Customers dressed in designer attire wandered about, their eyes gleaming with the prospect of a new acquisition. I had just finished helping a young couple finalize the paperwork for their new SUV when I noticed her. She stood near a stunning red convertible, her hands lightly resting on the car's glossy surface. Her appearance was starkly different from the usual clientele. Clad in a simple, worn dress, her silver hair was pulled back into a neat bun. Her eyes, though weary, held the spark of determination. Before I could approach her, Richard, one of our more self-assured and, frankly, arrogant salesmen, stepped in. He was all sharp lines in his tailored suit, his smile more of a sneer. "Can I help you?" he asked, his voice dripping with condescension. The woman looked up, a bit startled but not intimidated. "Yes, I was interested in this car," she replied, her voice soft yet steady. Richard's smile widened into a smirk. "Ma'am, this store is for customers who can afford luxury cars. You don't seem like you belong here." Her face flushed, but she stood her ground. "I have the money. I came here specifically to buy this car." Richard chuckled, glancing at his colleagues who were now watching the scene with amusement. "I'm sure you did. But we have important clients to attend to. Please don't disturb our work." I couldn't stand it any longer. "Richard, that's enough," I said, stepping forward. He shot me a look of disdain but stepped back. "Amelia, what are you doing?" he hissed, but I ignored him. "Ma'am, I'm really sorry about that," I said, turning to her. "Can we talk for a moment?" She seemed taken aback by my intervention but nodded. "Thank you," she murmured. As she turned to leave, she dropped a large, aged leather bag. I quickly picked it up and felt the heft of it. "Excuse me, ma'am. You forgot your bag," I called out, catching up to her just outside the dealership. She turned, her eyes red from the tears she had held back. "Thank you," she said softly, taking the bag from me. "I'm so sorry for how you were treated," I said. "May we sit for a moment? I'd love to hear your story." She hesitated but then nodded. We found a bench under a tree just outside the dealership. The shade provided a cool respite from the sun. "My name is Amelia, by the way," I said, offering her a reassuring smile. "Rosie Preston," she replied, managing a small smile in return. "My husband, Aaron, and I had always dreamed of traveling in a convertible. He's very ill now, and we don't have much time left. He saved every penny for years to make this dream come true, but with all the medical bills, we are short on funds." Her voice trembled as she spoke, and I felt a lump form in my throat. I couldn't imagine the pain and pressure she was under. "How short are you?" I asked gently. "About 20,000, she said, her eyes filling with tears. "It seems like so much now." I reached out and took her hand. "Mrs. Preston, your story is incredible. Let me see what I can do to help." Her eyes widened. "Oh, Amelia, I don't know how to thank you." "Don't thank me yet," I said, squeezing her hand. "But I promise, I'll do everything I can." We sat there a little longer, talking about Aaron and their life together. The more I listened, the more determined I became to help them. I knew that making Aaron's dream come true would mean everything to both of them. As we stood up to leave, she reached into her bag and handed me a small photograph. It was of her and Aaron, much younger, standing beside an old car with wide smiles on their faces. "This is us, back when we first talked about getting a convertible," she said wistfully. I took the photo, promising to keep it safe. "We'll make that dream a reality, Mrs. Preston." "I promise." We parted ways, and I headed back into the dealership with a new sense of purpose. I was determined to help Rosie and Aaron, no matter what it took. That night, sleep eluded me as I lay in bed, thinking about Rosie and Aaron Preston. Their story haunted me, and the thought of Aaron's last wish going unfulfilled felt like an unbearable injustice. As the first light of dawn broke through my window, I made a decision. I would help them, no matter what it took. The next morning, I walked into the dealership with a newfound determination. I headed straight for Mr. Thompson's office. He was a stern man, known for his business acumen and no-nonsense attitude. But I had seen glimpses of kindness in him before, and I hoped that today, I could appeal to that side of him. "Mr. Thompson, do you have a minute?" I asked, knocking on his door frame. He looked up from his paperwork, adjusting his glasses. "Come in, Amelia. What's on your mind?" Taking a deep breath, I began. "Sir, I met a woman yesterday, Mrs. Rosie Preston. Her husband is terminally ill, and his last wish is to travel in a red convertible. They've saved for years, but due to his medical bills, they're short on funds." Mr. Thompson leaned back in his chair, listening intently. "And you're telling me this because?" "I want to help them," I said, my voice steady. "I'm willing to use my savings, but we need to give them a discount. This isn't just about a sale, it's about fulfilling a dying man's dream. It's about showing compassion." He remained silent for a moment, his face unreadable. Finally, he sighed and leaned forward. "Amelia, you're suggesting we give a significant discount on one of our most expensive cars. That's not a small ask." "I know," I replied, holding his gaze. "But sometimes, it's not just about profit. It's about doing the right thing. I believe this is one of those times." Mr. Thompson tapped his fingers on the desk, deep in thought. "You've always been one of our best employees, Amelia. Your dedication and compassion are admirable. All right, let's make this happen. We'll give them a discount, and you can use your savings if you're sure about this." Relief washed over me. "Thank you, sir. You have no idea what this means." He smiled faintly. "Sometimes, it's important to look beyond appearances and see the heart of the matter. I'm glad you reminded me of that." With Mr. Thompson's approval, I set the plan in motion. I called Rosie to share the good news. "Hello, Mrs. Preston? It's Amelia," I said, my heart racing. "Amelia. How are you, dear?" She replied, her voice warm but cautious. "I have wonderful news. Mr. Thompson has agreed to give you a discount on the car, and I'm using my savings to cover the rest. We can buy the red convertible for Aaron." There was a pause on the other end of the line, followed by a sob. "Oh, Amelia, I can't believe it. You're making our dream come true. Aaron will be so happy." Thank you so much." "Don't thank me yet," I said, smiling. "But I promise, we'll make this happen. Can you come to the dealership tomorrow?" "Of course," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "We'll be there." The next day, Rosie arrived at the dealership, her transformation nothing short of remarkable. She wore an elegant navy blue suit that fit her perfectly, and a delicate pearl necklace adorned her neck. Her gray hair was styled neatly, and she walked with a new air of confidence. The salespeople, who had previously dismissed her, watched in awe. I greeted her at the door, and together, we walked to Mr. Thompson's office. He stood up as we entered, extending his hand. "Mrs. Preston, it's a pleasure to meet you," he said warmly. "Thank you, Mr. Thompson. You have no idea how much this means to us," Rosie replied, shaking his hand. "We're happy to help," he said. "Let's get this paperwork sorted so you can take that car home." The process was swift, and soon enough, Rosie held the keys to the red convertible. Her eyes sparkled with joy as she turned to me. "Amelia, I can't thank you enough. You've given us a gift beyond measure." "It's my pleasure, Mrs. Preston," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "I'm just glad we could make this happen." We stepped outside, and I watched as she got into the driver's seat. The engine roared to life, and she beamed at me. "Would you like to come with me to surprise Aaron?" she asked. "I'd be honored," I replied, climbing into the passenger seat. As we drove to her home, I couldn't help but feel a sense of fulfillment. We pulled up to a small, charming house with a well-kept garden. Aaron was sitting on the porch, his eyes widening in disbelief as he saw the car. "Rosie, is this?" he began, his voice weak but filled with awe. "Yes, Aaron," she replied, tears streaming down her face. "This is our dream car. We're going on that trip we've always talked about." Aaron's eyes filled with tears as he looked at me. "Thank you, Amelia. You've given us a gift we can never repay." "It was my pleasure," I said, choking back my own tears. Enjoy your trip, and make every moment count. Rosie and Aaron embraced, their love palpable. Watching them, I knew that this was more than just a car. It was a symbol of their enduring love and the dreams they had shared. And for me, it was a reminder of the power of compassion and the difference one person can make in another's life. The morning sun peeked through the curtains, casting a warm glow across the room as Rosie and Aaron prepared for their journey. The red convertible gleamed in the driveway, a symbol of their enduring love and the adventure that awaited them. Rosie packed a small suitcase with the essentials and a picnic basket filled with Aaron's favorite snacks. She wanted every moment of this trip to be perfect. "Are you ready, my love?" Rosie asked, her voice filled with excitement as she entered the bedroom. Aaron, sitting on the edge of the bed, smiled up at her. His once robust frame was now frail, but his spirit remained unbroken. "I've been ready for this my whole life, Rosie," he replied, taking her hand. "Let's go make some memories." With care and tenderness, Rosie helped Aaron into the passenger seat of the convertible, making sure he was comfortable. As she settled into the driver's seat and started the engine, Aaron's eyes lit up with a mix of joy and nostalgia. The car purred to life, ready to carry them on their adventure. The open road stretched before them, a ribbon of possibility winding through picturesque landscapes. They decided to drive along the coast, where the sea met the sky in a breathtaking panorama of blues. The wind played with Rosie's hair as they drove, and Aaron leaned back, closing his eyes to savor the sensation of freedom. "Remember our first road trip?" Aaron asked, his voice filled with warmth. "We drove that old clunker up to the mountains and got stuck in the rain." Rosie laughed, the sound light and carefree. "How could I forget? We spent the night in the car, huddled under a blanket, listening to the rain on the roof. It was one of the best nights of my life." "Mine too," Aaron agreed, reaching for her hand. "Every moment with you has been the best, Rosie." They stopped at a scenic overlook, where the ocean stretched out endlessly before them. Rosie set up a picnic on a blanket, and they sat side by side, enjoying the view and each other's company. The sound of waves crashing against the rocks below provided a soothing backdrop to their conversation. "Do you remember that time we talked about this trip?" Aaron asked, his eyes distant as he recalled the memory. "We were so young, dreaming of all the places we'd go." "Yes," Rosie replied, her voice tender. "We promised each other that we'd see the world together, no matter what." Aaron nodded, a wistful smile on his lips. "And we've done our best, haven't we? Even when life threw us curveballs, we faced them together. Always," Rosie said, squeezing his hand. "And now, we're making this dream come true. I just wish we had more time." Aaron's eyes softened. "Every moment with you has been a gift, Rosie. Whether it's a lifetime or just a few more days, I'm grateful for all of it." As the sun began to set, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, they resumed their journey. The road led them through quaint coastal towns, where they stopped to explore, hand in hand. They visited charming cafes, strolled through local markets, and took countless photos to capture the magic of their trip. One evening, they arrived at a small seaside inn, where Rosie had booked a room with a balcony overlooking the ocean. As they sat outside, wrapped in a blanket, they watched the moonlight dance on the water. "This is perfect," Aaron said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I couldn't have asked for a better way to spend our last adventure." Rosie rested her head on his shoulder, her heart full. "I'm so glad you're happy, Aaron. That's all that matters to me." In the days that followed, they continued their journey, cherishing every moment and creating memories that would last a lifetime. Aaron's health continued to decline, but his spirit remained strong, buoyed by the love and joy he shared with Rosie. One morning, as they sat on the beach, watching the sunrise, Aaron turned to Rosie, his eyes filled with love. "Rosie, thank you for making this dream come true. You've given me the greatest gift of all." Rosie kissed his forehead, tears glistening in her eyes. "You're my heart, Aaron. I would do anything for you." Aaron's hand tightened around hers. "Promise me you'll keep living your dreams, even after I'm gone." Rosie nodded, her voice steady despite the tears. "I promise, Aaron. I'll live for both of us." Their journey came to an end at the place where it had begun, their cozy home with a well-kept garden. Aaron passed away peacefully a few days later, with Rosie by his side, holding his hand as he took his last breath. The red convertible, now a cherished relic, sat in the driveway, a testament to their love and the dreams they had shared. Rosie knew that she had fulfilled Aaron's last wish and that their journey together would forever remain etched in her heart. In the weeks that followed, Rosie found comfort in her new friendship with Amelia. They often met for tea, sharing stories and memories. One afternoon, as they sat in Rosie's living room, Rosie turned to Amelia, her eyes shining with gratitude. "Amelia, you gave us a gift beyond measure. Aaron's dream wouldn't have come true without you," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "That's why I want you to have the red convertible." Amelia's eyes widened in surprise. "Mrs. Preston, I don't know if I can accept such a gift. It's so precious to you." Rosie nodded, her expression resolute. "It is precious, and that's why I want you to have it. You showed us the true meaning of kindness and love. The car will remind you of that, and of the friendship we've built." Amelia hesitated, her heart full. "Thank you, Mrs. Preston. I promise to cherish it and honor Aaron's memory." Rosie smiled, tears in her eyes. "Call me Rosie, dear. And I know you will. You're a part of our story now, and I'm grateful for that." As Amelia drove the red convertible for the first time, the wind in her hair and the sun on her face, she felt a deep connection to Rosie and Aaron. She knew that their love and the journey they had taken would inspire her for the rest of her life. The journey of a lifetime had come to an end, but its legacy lived on, a testament to the power of love, compassion, and friendship. And as Amelia drove down the open road, she knew that she carried a piece of that legacy with her, a reminder of the dreams that had been fulfilled and the love that had made it all possible. If you liked this story, please subscribe, like, click the bell, and leave a comment. Thank you in advance.